Biohack number 6. The Bacon Eater. Does anyone know the Baconator? From Wendy's, I think it is. Well, this is the Bacon Eater. And sorry to any vegetarians out there. If I increase my fat consumption, will my triglycerides and cholesterol go up? Because that's a concern, right? People tell you, don't eat a lot of bacon, don't eat a lot of eggs, because your cholesterol is going to go up. So I wanted to test this out on myself. What I did was I started to eat bacon almost every day for breakfast. I wasn't eating a lot of it, but say 3 slices. And I wanted to see if it had an effect on my cholesterol, on my triglycerides. Now, it's very hard to see this. This is a blood test. And it is over a long period of time. So I need to give a disclaimer, first of all. Any of these sort of blood test results I'm showing you, there could be many other factors at play here. Okay, I can't say that it's totally accurate. There could be some confounding variables. I didn't control this experiment. Okay, so I have to put that disclaimer out there. But this is just sort of anecdotal. It's not at the top of the research spectrum. It's, anecdotal is one of the lower areas of evidence. But that being said, let's take a look. So what do we want to look at here? Cholesterol. So my cholesterol level in 2010 was 4.19. And then I started eating bacon a lot more and other fats too. It wasn't just bacon. So I started eating a lot of other fats. And then 3 years later, I had a blood test and I was at 4.14. So slightly decreased. I mean, very, very small amount. But it didn't go up. So my cholesterol actually went down. Very slightly. My triglycerides did go up, but very minimally. Not enough to warrant any kind of worry at all. Because triglycerides, I was up to 0.6. You want to have it below 1.7. So I was still very low. HDL cholesterol, sadly, that went down. HDL is the good cholesterol that you hear about. That went down, but again, such a small amount, doesn't really matter. Because I'm still in this range, should be over 1. So I'm over 1 still. And the LDL cholesterol, that actually went down. And that's the one we say is the bad cholesterol. So that one went down, but very, very significantly. Or not significantly, insignificantly. And what's the takeaway? It really had no effect. So even though I was eating a lot more fat, it had no effect on my triglycerides or my cholesterol. And again, disclaimer, there could be other factors at play here, who knows? But I thought that was pretty interesting. So now you can see the complexity of the biohacks are starting to go up a bit. Because now I'm starting to test my blood. And I'd like to get to the point where I can do my own blood analysis at home. That would be great. Rant number 2. Hello, sunshine. So what have you been told about the sun? It's bad. Don't go in the sun. Right? I say wrong. Get in the sun. But don't get burnt. So that's what I always add to it. Get in the sun, but don't let yourself get burnt. So if you have really pale skin, you're not going to be able to go in the sun for a long amount of time, right? But why do we have to go in the sun? There's a few different reasons, but why? Why go in the sun? Vitamin D. So most of you have heard vitamin D synthesis. It's actually the best source of vitamin D is the sun. Better than eating fish, better than drinking milk. The best thing you can do is get in the sun. Now, there is a problem here. We live in Toronto. In the winter, there isn't that much sun. Or even when there is sun, because we're in the northern latitude, the sun is on too much of an angle. So when the sun is on an angle like this, the sun's UV rays, it's the UVB rays are the ones that we want. Those ones get dispersed as they hit the atmosphere and they come on an angle. They're not as strong. But if the sun's right overhead, like if you're at the equator, then the rays penetrate a lot easier. There isn't as much dispersion. That's why when you're at the equator, it feels like the sun is so much more intense, right? You can't be outside for as long without getting burnt. But that's the problem of living in a northern climate like Toronto, is that, say, in basically November, December, January, February-ish, even if you went out at noontime and the sun is pretty much overhead, but it's on a bit of an angle, you will not get vitamin D synthesis because it's not intense enough. And add to that, you got all your winter clothes on, you don't have much exposed skin, so you're not really getting vitamin D synthesis. So in the winter, if you're living in Toronto, you should be supplementing with vitamin D, especially if you have dark skin. Those who have darker skin require more sunlight in order to make the same amount of vitamin D as those with light skin. So think of it this way. If you have really light skin and you go outside and you're standing beside someone who has really dark skin, who's going to have to get out of the sun first? It's quite obvious, right? The person with light skin will get burnt sooner. Okay? But the person with light skin is more efficient at synthesizing vitamin D. And that's actually an evolutionary adaptation that has happened from human migration. So where did all humans come from originally? 2 million years ago, Africa. And then over time, human migration. And as humans migrated further north, they started to lose some of that skin color and become lighter skinned because it became more efficient to synthesize vitamin D. It's really fascinating. So get out in the sun, just don't get burnt. Obviously, there's other benefits to the sun as well. It makes you feel good. You know, you'll have lower rates of depression. Think of people suffering of seasonal affective disorder. When do you really get that? It's around December, January, February, the darkest months of the year, right? And in that case, you may want to get one of those light boxes. I have one that I use in the winter. So when I get into work, I have it sitting right at my computer. I turn it on, and I have this really bright light, which mimics the sun. It's not as good as the sun. It doesn't give you the vitamin D synthesis, but it does help regulate your hormones so that you feel more awake during the day instead of being in pitch black when you wake up. And here's a great meal if you want to help out with that. Lunch of champions, sardines, avocado, and some roasted seaweed. But don't forget the toothpaste and the toothbrush, because those sardines do not smell great. Yeah, especially the sardines have good vitamin D. And then you're getting the good fats in the avocado. I eat a lot of avocado. No, I don't believe it does. Seaweed, I'm not sure of. I haven't checked it out. So it's mainly this is going to give you the vitamin D. But this is just to go along with those meals that I was saying where it's high fat, high protein, low carb. So this is great source of protein, great fat, and great fat.